Bishop, one of our greatest challenges right now is race relations in our country. And you have written a new book, yes. Self-Genocide, What Black Lives Matter Won't Say. Mm-hmm. What exactly do you want to say about that, what Black Lives Matter won't say?
You know, first of all, I want to say, as far as being a person of color, I've been called probably everything in the book. I mean, black, nigger, dumb, colored, ignorant, all these things that to retrograde me. Mm-hmm. But I look around at them and I said, who are you talking to? Because the truth of the matter is, I already know who I am by the creative order. That's right. And my race is an issue of sovereignty. Mm-hmm. So God decided that I would be born, the season I'm born in, the race I am, the family I was born in. So yes. They can't redefine me. I've already been defined by God. So I say, return to sender, address unknown. You're talking to the wrong person.
Love it.
I know who I am. You know what I'm saying?
Amen.
So this is huge. So, but what gets me about the black community, from the fall of Adam all the way now to us as a people group in this nation. Mm-hmm. I was over in Africa. I've been working with some of the archbishops, Anglican archbishops in other nations. And particularly I was over there working with some of them. And they said to me, why do you call yourself African American? I said, what do you mean? They asked me, what tribe are you from originally? I said, oh, well, I don't know. They said, well, what language do you speak originally? I said, well, I don't know. They said, well, what geographical area did you come from? I said, I don't know. They said, wow, you have no tribe, you have no original language, you have no geographical land base, you're not African American, you are Black American, you can help us. Why have you not come to help us? Wow. You don't understand your own value by God allowing you to be born in the wealthiest nation in the world. We believe we understand why you have not. And this is the number, though. Even though we are somewhere around 35 to 50 million blacks in America, depending on if you look at cultural, you know, from several cultures that we might be a mixed culture, but there are about 50 million of us. Less than 500 of us are full-time missionaries outside the United States.
Less than 500.
Less than 500.
Not even 1,000.
Not even 1,000. So while we should be missionaries, we're still a mission field. They said, you have not come to help us for, we think, 3 reasons. 1, you haven't forgiven us for selling you to slavery. Number 2, you think you're better than we are because you were born in America. Number 3, you don't think we're worth it. You think we're still monkeys hanging on trees. And what I said to them, that's not really true. We don't value our own lives. I said, look at it. We kill the babies in the womb. We don't even know the origins of why we do that. And that's what I cover in this book,
yes.
Black Self-Genocide. Listen, if I were to ask the average student, what's the subtitle of Origin of Species, Charles Darwin's book? If you buy one today, it doesn't have it. But the original subtitle of Origin of Species is The Preservation of Favored Races in the Struggle for Life. What? Wow. Favored races? Favored races? You mean there are favored races and unfavored races? Exactly. What are you talking about? You're talking about eugenics. The organization that carried this Malthus, this Francis Galton's idea forth was Planned Parenthood. The founder of Planned Parenthood, Margaret Sanger. Well, who is she? In my view, she's a hoochie mama. I mean, she's an author of The Pivot of Civilization. She wanted to slow down the birth rate of the dysgenics because she felt they were consumers and there were not enough resources for the noble in birth, ignoble in birth, and ignoble in birth would consume it all up. So you know what she did? She said to black women, they're trying to control you again. You've gotten out of slavery, but now they won't let you make the choice over your own bodies of whether you should have babies or not. Well, at that time, women still had the womb of slavery. Wound is associated with pain.
Yes.
It should have been a scar, which is a memory. So they acted upon it. They started killing the babies in the womb, abortion. So you have blacks who think, well, abortion is kind of a Republican right idea, and see, they're after restricting us. Well, first of all, you don't know your history, because Lincoln's was Republican.
That's right.
And blacks were Republican all the way up to the 50s.
That's right.
And even the 64 Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act of 65, Republicans. So don't try that. Wow. The point is, 12% of the population, 37% of all the abortions committed in America were committed by blacks.
Wow.
Why? We don't know the value of life, number one. God says, I've come to give you life in Christ and give it more abundantly. So we devalue life.
That's why we play into this self-hatred.
Hate ourselves.
We hate ourselves.
Hate ourselves. So what? So then you got these guys promoted by BET, promote the rap music. Rap music in itself, is it rap bad? No, the lyrics are bad. So why, if blacks have gone through being sold into slavery, dying in the Middle Passage, staying in slavery for several hundred years, going through a war fought to get them free, 1877 compromise, segregation, discrimination, and a Voting Rights Act, as I mentioned, as late as, you mean I still got to worry about you killing yourselves, killing each other?
Help us, God.
No, it got to help us.
Wow.
Man.
How can white Americans, you mentioned this in your book, how can white Americans be agents of healing and change for the black community?
You know, it's really interesting because I would say that many white Americans have already helped blacks in history, but they changed their mentality. And I always clearly say this to you too, that the Republicans of the day are not the Whigs of Lincoln's day. They're bootstraps today. And pretty much they don't realize that in this book, I showed all the black universities and the enfranchisement that happened by, for example, half of the high schools built for blacks were built by the white community. Matter of fact, half of them were paid for by one man, Julius Rosenwald. Guess what his position was? President of Sears and Roebuck. Amazing thing.
Wow.
But a lot of the black universities, a lot of the black educational schools, these were white people. The education of blacks being 99% illiterate in slavery, they became 80% literate within 35 years because the American Missionary Association, whites, in 2000, white teachers from the North down south to help educate us. Blacks, whites have helped us before, but they've forgotten. And so the idea of saying, I want to mentor these people, like, for example, I want to help them with resources. I mean, actually, I was going to have this book done by a friend of mine who is the #1 literary agent in California, and probably most people listening to me would know if you've done a book. And I was going to let a major publishing company do the book. But they were dragging their feet, a little slow about it because of this time is an important time right now. I don't want to go through the regular publishing cycles, and I understand those. So you know what Pat said? He said, do it now. He said, go ahead and do it. This information is too important for you. And you know what I realized? I had it buried. Wow. This research I've been doing for 30 years. I just didn't publish it. Charles Dunn, who was over dean of our School of Government, he wanted me to do this at least 10 years ago. This book is 280 pages, but it came from a manuscript that's 600 pages. Wow. But I wanted to make sure that I indexed it, that I sourced it, that you have natural information as well as revelation in here. It's a biblical perspective of Black American history. So I know that what Black Lives Matter won't say is everything in this book.
Wow.
It just won't say. Because why? I'm talking from the Bible. I know that we need a cultural transformation. My friend, Dr. Carson, says we need education. Well, guess what? The people who got us where we are right now are educated.
Oh, yeah. Highly educated.
Highly educated.
Yes.
And then when they say it's not education that we need, it's transformation. Because if you get educated and you don't change your character, all you now are is smarters about doing your debauchery.
That's right. Oh, wow.
See? And so that's what's happened. We have smart people, wicked. This is what we got. So in our inner cities, the Father's missing in action. We have an identity crisis in the city. And so identity, value, and recognition. So you think I need the government to help me out when I can find out enfranchisement? Look, I have a list in here on page 175 of the enterprise zones of Black businesses.
I remember.
Come on.
Yes.
And one particular one was the Black Wall Street in Tulsa, which was through a lie. Some black man said he's trying to rape a white woman. It was totally proven not to be true. 440 black businesses were burned down, burned to the ground. And just a few years ago, the Oklahoma legislature just repented for doing that on the caveat that there would be no restitution.
Wow.
Even though we know who these businesses were, and we could give them back and help their children get a start over again.
Wow.
And so even in Virginia, we had, enterprise zones in Richmond, Virginia, in Jackson Ward, in Miami, Overton, in Houston, 4th Ward. I have them listed. Chicago, we had Bronzeville in Chicago.
Well, this is Bishop Boone. I could talk with you all day.
It's loaded,
This book is called Black Genocide, What Black Lives Matter Won't Say. And you can find out where to buy it at cbn.com. And we're also going to be having a Facebook Live interview today. So make sure you log on to our Facebook page, CBN News Facebook. Thank you so much, Bishop Boone, for joining us today.
It's just a blessing being with you.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Amen.